And next, we take a closer look at the threat from ransomware, the type of cyber attack that hit Colonial Pipeline this month, causing those gas shortages up and down the East Coast. Experts say that these attacks are becoming more frequent and more lucrative for criminals, with companies losing hundreds of billions of dollars from these attacks in just the past few years. ABC's Alex Presha explains.
Certainly you've seen the headlines.
We begin tonight with the growing concern across this country after that massive cyber attack.
The effects of the Russia-based ransomware attack are being felt up and down the East Coast.
We are learning the company paid the hackers millions in ransom.
Colonial Pipeline, the victim of a devastating ransomware attack. Its effects passed down to the consumer through gas shortages and panic buying. But how did we get here? First, you have to understand what ransomware is. Sean Henry is the chief security officer at CrowdStrike. He also spent more than 2 decades working at the FBI.
Ransomware is the deployment of malware, malicious software, into a corporate environment that encrypts all of the data.
Hackers will then only decrypt that data if the original owner pays up, often through cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin.
It's a digital ransom.
It's exactly what it is. It's not very different from kidnappings and extortions.
It's also encouraged these hackers to focus on critical infrastructure. Think healthcare. Dr. Mark Memo's urology practice in Northeast Ohio got hit in 2019. He says the hackers wanted $24,000 in Bitcoin.
We said we would be willing to, pay them if they could prove that they could unencrypt the data.
His IT firm paid the ransom. But Memo estimates the ordeal still cost his practice about $150,000 in back bills, lost business, and rebuilding security. It also impacted his patients.
And we had patients that were in the middle of cancer treatments that we had to delay because we couldn't verify the data, we couldn't verify the medications they needed.
According to the National Cyber Investigative Joint Task Force, there are 3 common ways these ransomware attacks happen. Phishing campaigns like emails with malware and a suspicious link. Remote desktop protocol vulnerabilities, where hackers gain access to a computer or network over the internet. And software vulnerabilities, where hackers use security weaknesses in widely used software to access people's data. Many of these attacks come from organized crime groups that operate out of Russia, as well as North Korea, China, and Iran.
The U.S. government can only use law enforcement actions in a foreign country with the collaboration of the host government.
Ransomware attacks first got on the radar of many in 2017. The WannaCry worm is estimated to have infected more than 200,000 people around the world, victims often paying between $300 and $600 in Bitcoin to unlock their data. But since then, these attacks have increased and evolved. A report by the Center for Strategic and International Studies and McAfee estimated the worldwide cost of cybercrime at almost $1 trillion between 2018 and 2020.
Unfortunately, those payments encourage these organized crime groups to continue.
The FBI warns against paying these ransoms, and just this fall, the U.S. Treasury's Office of Foreign Asset Control tried to crack down on them too, especially ransoms to sanctioned hackers. It issued an advisory to companies that engage with ransomware attack victims of the potential sanctions they could face for facilitating ransomware payouts.
They'd rather deal with the government saying they did something wrong than deal with an organized crime group who has just ended the existence of their company.
Cities have also fallen victim, including New Orleans. It got hit with a ransomware attack in December of 2019. A city employee opened the wrong email at work. A phishing attack.
It's devastating.
Kimberly LeGroux is the city's chief information officer. The city opted to rebuild its system instead of pay up. LeGroux says New Orleans spent about $1.5 million recovering that data from old hard copy records and another $5.2 million rehabbing their digital infrastructure.
This is almost like hurricane. You get prepared because you see the bad weather coming.
Experts say updating computer security infrastructure is critical. Many organizations that operate on legacy technologies are vulnerable. Some elected officials have advocated legislation requiring companies to share information with the government when an attack happens. But ultimately, experts say companies will have to reevaluate how they operate.
Companies have relied on the government to stop these attacks. Companies are responsible for protecting themselves against nation states, against organized crime groups, which is very different from what we see in the physical world.
Alex Presha, ABC News, Washington.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.